Hello, and welcome to episode number 282 of the TEW 2020 Challenge Run. This is going to be Monday Night Raw for week 4 of August 2022. And this is the first episode of, I guess, season 6, we're going to call it. The new goals have been updated. They're in the description if you want to read them all. That's just what I will say. Like, I can't be asked to make a whole video announcing them all. But tonight, new era, new me, new Raw logo, custom made by your boy. Up there, just seeing that up there gives me, you know, the burst of adrenaline to get this. This is gonna be a big season, you know. We've got on tap tonight the Firefly Deletion. Bray Wyatt and Su Yung against the Broken Hardys. We've got the 6-man tag, the Titus World Records, against the Carrion Cross Cult. And we'll hear from World Heavyweight Champion Big E. We'll hear from the new Raw Women's Champion Bianca Belair. And Charlotte and Jordan, the new 2-time Women's Tag Team Champions, will host a championship celebration. Along with a whole lot of other things, you know. If you haven't seen SummerSlam, some shit went down. You know, Sheamus, a lot of people will have questions for him tonight, but who knows? He's not been spotted in the arena so far, so who knows if he's even going to show up tonight. Without any more further ado, I don't know if I mentioned this as well, but this is the most important part. There has been a little superstar shake-up. Like, I haven't sent that many people like to different shows, but that's how I do things around here. Okay, I think I'm back now. That won't have any effect on you, but for some reason my mic randomly cut out at that random moment. Anyway, what I was saying, Superstar Shake-Up happens after SummerSlam. And, like, I move a couple of people around. But then we do the full proper draft after WrestleMania, like, as it should be. That's where the draft should be. But I do like to, because I consider SummerSlam a season finale, I guess, then I like to sort of, like, refresh things up for the quote-unquote new season. And then the Raw after SummerSlam is the season premiere. And because they do have them in real life around about this time. I think they're like usually in September. Like they whip out one random episode of Raw and go, this is the season premiere. But I guess that's the Raw after SummerSlam every year now for me. Anyway, without any more further ado, let's just jump into Raw. Show intro. Kingsley and Tom go through what I went through at the start, you know, the fancy graphics I have made now because, you know, new season, something's got to be fancier about it. The layout is still exactly the same. I thought I was going to change that. I didn't. Oh well. Guess we're sticking with that layout. I've just realised right now I've got both champions that have just the Raw ones. There we go. And I probably should add the Cruiserweight champion and the Liberty champion on there as well, but I haven't yet. Oopsie, apologies. Anyway, announcers hype up the show, and then the first person we see is Mr. Drew McIntyre. He comes with this, only got a 76. Apparently I didn't rate Drew, but did I not? Oh no, I did. He just hadn't got any penalties in the thingamabobby. Okay. Well, Drew McIntyre comes out anyway and he goes, in case you can tell, in case you didn't watch SummerSlam, I'm one pissed off SOB right here. So, for those of you who didn't watch SummerSlam, both nights of SummerSlam, you know, pissed me off. Because night 1, Saturday night, Big E was to defend the World Heavyweight Championship against Edge in the main event. I mean, you all know how I feel about Edge and this whole grand jury shit. So, don't get me wrong, I am over the moon that Big E is still our World Heavyweight Champion, and we're going to hear from him later on tonight, E. But I've got bones to pick with somebody else, a man that I called my best friend. I still do, you know. Sheamus. After the match, after he'd also had his problems with the grand jury the last couple of months, decided that after the match would be the best time for him to stake his claim at Big E's championship. Don't know what his issue was, but he kicked Big E in the head, and Sheamus' mind was not the same after that because he went into Sunday night. Me and him challenged Randy Orton and Edge for the tag team titles. And we came up short because me and Sheamus had a bit of an argument, you could say. His head clearly wasn't still on straight, and unfortunately we couldn't get the revenge on the grand jury that we need to get So, Sheamus, I know people haven't seen you around here tonight, and I don't know if you're in hiding because you're embarrassed about what you did last night. But I'm calling you out right here now. We can settle this man-to-man in front of the world here in SNHU Arena. But instead of Sheamus coming out, we hear shoosh, shoosh, please. And out comes Chad Gable, like, just by himself. And he's like, shoosh, shoosh, please, shoosh. Now, I don't know if you'll notice, Drew. I know you're not the smartest man in WWE because that's me. I don't know if you've noticed, but I'm not Sheamus. I'm Chad Gable. Sheamus wishes he had a 4.0 GPA. Thank you. But tonight, I'm sure you're all aware, there's been a bit of a superstar shake-up here in WWE. Superstars from SmackDown going to Raw. Superstars from Raw going to SmackDown, Drew. And that's where I come in, because apparently I need to have a word with Alexa and Pierce, because I thought the Alpha Academy would come into Raw, but it turns out only Chad Gable has come to Raw. Now, sheesh, I don't need my other associates in the Alpha Academy. They'll do just fine by themselves. But if I'm coming to Raw, I'd have liked to have had my friends with me, you know. But, Drew, that brings me to you. See, you came up short against Sheamus. You clearly need a better partner than him. You need a partner who can really accentuate your strengths, a partner who is smarter than Sheamus, is a better wrestler than Sheamus, who, quite frankly, is just better in every way than Sheamus. And that's where I come in, Drew, because I may not have an academy anymore, but I can still offer my services to those in need. So what do you think? He offers a hand out to Drew, and Drew sort of looks around confused, like, what do you want about, bruv? And Drew shakes Gable's hand, like, yeah, you know, Chad, it's nice to welcome back to Raw, you know. Here's one thing, though. You don't just get to come out on my show and interrupt me while I'm opening up here on the season premiere of Raw. But I can get you to do me a favour. If you see Sheamus or even Edge or any of the grand jury, I've got a message I want you to deliver to them. And Gable's like, that sounds great. I can't think of a better person to deliver a message than me, Drew. What is it? And Drew's like, well, it's this. Bang, headbutts, Gable. And then 3, 2, 1, Gable gets claymored. And Drew celebrates with the crowd as we kick off the first episode of Raw of the new season. Chad Gable has been superstar shaken up to Raw, and Drew McIntyre's left him laying. We then cut to the back. Alexa's in there with, just by herself, just like sorting out, finalising the roster, I guess, out of the shake-up. When in walked Legado de la Sombra, who apparently also moved over from SmackDown. And Alexa's like, Zelina, boys, like, welcome to Raw. She's like, yeah, we've been here before, like, we know this place. In fact, I'm probably more qualified to do your job than you are, but yes, what do you want, Alexa? And Alexa's like, well, it's not just a simple greeting, like, I am going to greet, I want to be, like, close to all my roster, you know, be the people's GM, you know, but there's actually an important reason, like, for you, because after last night, we need new number 1 contenders for the Raw Tag Team Championships, and that's where you guys come in. So it's like, oh, this sounds interesting. And then I was like, well, here's what's going to happen. Tonight, we're going to have 2 fatal 4-way tag team matches. And the 2 winners of that will meet later on tonight. And the winner of that match will face Rated RKO for the Raw Tag Team titles next week. And this is just my way of saying, welcome to Raw, Cruz, Joaquin, you know, Legado de la Sombra, this whole thing. You're one of the teams, so you better get ready for that match. And Alexa's like, well, it's just you lot. Is Raquel not here? And he's like, oh no, Raquel is with us. But she's just scoping around now. She's grabbing us some stuff from catering and stuff. Get us in the Raw mood, you know. That's when Zelina's phone rings. And it's like, oh, speak of the devil. She's like, Raquel, where you at? And we hear Raquel, like, ranting on the other end of the phone. And she's like, there's what? What do you mean? Ugh. Already first day here and already problems. Okay, yes, I'm literally with Alexa right now and I'll take it up with her. Okay, bye. And then obviously Alexa's keen, like, what's the problem here? It's like, apparently there's no catering. Like, what sort of show do you run here? And then Zelina just storms out of the office and Alexa's like, weird, girls. Like, you saw us, we filled that out. Like, we actually put a lot of catering out tonight. Like, I wonder what's happened there. First match of the new season is the 6-man tag team match. The Carrion Cross Cult against Titus World Records, who finally have their stable logo. And the Carrion Cross Cult unfortunately pick up the win. Carrion Cross pins R-Truth with the Nothing personnel. 76 for Carrion, 52 for Carcass, 51 for Cutler, 44 for Shanky, 59 for R-Truth, and a 43 for Titus O'Neil. And unfortunately for Titus World Records, they have Billie Kay at ringside, I believe. I believe I put her out there, or someone's manager. But Carrion Cross Cult pick up the win. I don't think this is actually the first time Carcass has wrestled. He's been here for a while, but he just stood in the background, looking edgy. It's okay, this is the only reason he's here. Like, I'm not going to use Moose as a single star. It's fine. Backstage segment. Why are all the ratings doing so bad this week? I don't understand. Maybe it's because I've got no storylines attached. Oh well. Anyway, Kyle O'Reilly is with Kevin Patrick. He's like, Kyle O'Reilly, what does the new season of Raw bring to you? And Kyle's like, I haven't had the greatest run of things here on Raw recently. Me and Cesaro, we tried a thing before, but we struggled. We couldn't even beat The Miz and Grayson Waller, for God's sake. So it's time for a reset, a reboot of Cool Kyle, if you will. Because, you're forgetting, there's not just the WWE Championship, there's not just the Intercontinental Championship, there's not just the Tag Championships. I'm also, as a lean boy, eligible to become Cruiserweight Champion. And that's something of interest to me. And who better to have by my side than Raw's newest tag team, the Boys. And then walk Roddy and Bobby. And they're like, well, I guess the three of us, as a trio, there's no leader here. Nobody thinks they're above the group here. It's just us, the lads, undisputed, here to take Raw by storm, take Velocity by storm wherever we may land. But things are looking up for Kyle and Roddy and Bobby going forward, and it's even better now we haven't got to stay in the shadow of an egomaniac who thinks he's better than everybody else, because we know we're all as good as each other, we all complement each other, because that is undisputed. So yes, Bobby Fish and Roderick Strong back on Raw, and we're going to put these three back together because, yeah, I think that'll be fun. And there will also be another reason, as we'll find out in a few weeks. Out comes Big E. Finally a 99 rated segment. We're back in the swing of things here. Big E with the New Day comes out. And Big E, he's like, well, I've heard it for the last 48 hours. They're saying, Big E, when are you going to admit that you got lucky at SummerSlam? When are you going to admit that Edge should have been the new World Heavyweight Champion? And I'm telling you this. Never! I didn't get lucky at SummerSlam. I may have used the help of Sheamus, of Drew McIntyre, and of Kofi and my boy Woods. But Edge won a fair fight. He brought Randy and Priest and the Vikings and everybody else he could get his hands on out there to help him. Now Sheamus, I felt his message loud and clear. And Drew, I don't know about you, boy. You're acting kind of sus. I'm just saying, I've got eyes on the back of my head. If anybody wants to come for my championship, even if it's one of my boys here, and if it's Kofi or Woods, I'll see him coming. Because a lot of people didn't think that I'd make it this far as the World Heavyweight Champion, and I'm going to keep on going as long as I can. You'll have to rip this title off my cold dead hands. Now, as far as my boys go, they're in the Fatal 4-Way Tag Team match coming up next to earn a shot at the Raw Tag Team Championships, and it would sure mean a great deal if, after all the issues I've had with the grand jury, that it's these two, my brothers, who take the Raw Tag Team Championships from them. And then Edge appears on the Titantron with Randy and Priest by his side. Not the Vikings, because they're also in this tag match, so they wouldn't be with the rest of them. And he's like, you don't get it. The reason why you are still the World Heavyweight Champion is because I had double duty, I had other things on my mind, you know. Bringing poetic justice to the entire world doesn't come easy, and I knew that there was going to be hurdles that we'd have to overcome. I just didn't expect them so soon. So, you say you're still worried about Sheamus after what he did to you at SummerSlam. You say you're worried about Drew McIntyre, but you still gotta be worried about me. Still gotta be worried about Randy, Priest, Eric, Ivar, Sonya, Julia, Scarlett, all of us. Because SummerSlam wasn't the end of the Grand Jury's quest to become champion. To become the most dominant force in the company. It was just the beginning. Because you know what you say? What doesn't kill us makes us stronger. Well, we're stronger than ever now. And you better watch out. That's when they're interrupted by the sound of a guitar shredding. And then on the ramp is Boogs. He's like, my name's Rick Boogs. And I'm in a rock with the newest member of Monday Night Raw and Raw's hottest rockinest tag team. Me and Shinsuke Nakamura. So Shinsuke and Boogs are in the match as well. I think it's them against Kofi and Woods, against the Vikings, against Murphy and Dijakovic. I think that's the match. And it gets a 90. Let's go. Absolute banger. And it is the bionic breed of Dijakovic and Buddy Murphy who pick up the win to advance to the final match later on tonight. Where the winners of the match, I think it's between Legado, Manny and Bandit of the Anime Boys, Path of the Dragon, and somebody else. Is it Roddy? It might be Roddy. Yeah, Roddy and Bobby, I think, yeah. Anyway, 77 for Kofi, 88 for Woods, 74 for both Vikings, 75 for Dijak, 80 for Murphy, 59 for Boogs, and an 88 for Shinsuke. Woods is scoring an 88. Like, go on, King. And here's Murphy, who scores the pinfall over Rick Boogs with the Murphy's Law, because I didn't want either of these two teams to take the pinfall. But yes, advancing to the final match later on tonight will be Buddy Murphy and Dijakovic of the Bionic Breed. Backstage and catering, Raw's newest duo, Dolph Ziggler and John Morrison, are having a chat. Like, you know, things are going to be different here on Raw. You know, we tried a lot of shit on SmackDown. We've sort of been floundering for a little while, but, you know, onwards and up, new brand, new me, as they say. And then Corbin is like, him. And he walks into frame. And then Ziggler's like, hey, Corbs, where's your title? Corbin's like, shut up. I had more important things. I would have whooped Warden's ass. But right before I had that match, my friend, non-fungible niece here, had the dishonor of telling me that, you know, the market game that day was not doing so hot. But speaking of not doing so hot, I wasn't doing so hot yesterday after I lost, but now I'm over the goddamn moon, because look at this, Dolph. And he shows Dolph the phone, and Ziggler's like, what am I looking at? It's like, stocks, you know, prices are booming, you know, this lazy ape that I've got, it's like the most prized possession in my collection, you know. It keeps me going. Ziggler, you haven't got anything in your life that keeps you going right now because you're a loser. And Jen was like, well, chill, Corbin. Like, we don't want to start fights on Raw already. It's like, okay, well, I'll go off. Like, hey, girls, look at this. He walks over to the J-Flow girls in the catering room, who are still angry because there's no food in catering. And Mackie just turns around with an empty plate angrily, going, what? She's like, look at my ape. And she just stares at the phone. And it's like, and then they will walk off, and Corbin's like, well, your loss, you know. This is my prized possession. This is my pride and joy, my life here. You all wish you had this. You wish you were as in tune with the future of this world as I am. You snooze, you lose. But then from around the corner, we see Ludwig sort of just like, staring at Corbin. He's like just having a look, rubbing his chin and all sorts, scheming something. Quick backstage segment. Omos and Bivens. I don't think I've seen them. We might have seen them since Money in the Bank. I don't think so, actually. But long story short, Bivens is like, the Colossus Omos, he's been waiting, watching in the shadows for long enough, and, he's quite a hard man to hide. But the thing about me being the mastermind behind the Colossus Omos is that there's never enough. So if anyone else out there wants a big body Bivens to take them to the top of WWE and have this big son of a bitch by your back as well, you know where to find me. Just hit me up and I'll hit you up with my card and we can get things sorted. So going into the new season, what I really want to do is put more focus on managers as well. Like, I have a couple of them, but they normally only have a faction or a person. I want Bivens to have multiple clients. Probably not even just limited to Raw. He might spread his wings here over to SmackDown, Velocity, Heat. Like a modern Bobby Heenan. Not necessarily a new Bivens Enterprises faction, but just Bivens himself is a manager of a man of many hats, that sort of thing. And yeah, he's definitely the best choice I've got to do that with. And he's looking for more clients other than just Omos. And obviously, if you have him, you have Omos as well. You can't go wrong with a little mouthpiece and a big bodyguard. Another talking segment. The new Raw Women's Champion, Bianca Belair, comes to the ring. He's like, ladies and gentlemen, would you look who it is? It's me, the newest Raw Women's Champion. Big pop. And Bianca's like, Asuka, gal, you are one of the greatest women's WWE superstars of all time, and it was an honor to step into the ring of you and call you my opponent at SummerSlam. And honestly, any other day, 9 times out of 10, you probably could have beaten anybody else, but you can't beat the roughest, the toughest, the quickest, the baddest, the best. And I don't want to play spoiler, girl, but I'll see you down the road if you fancy another crack at this some other time, if I'm still the champion. But for now, I've got more important business to attend to, and that's the immediate future. That's Unforgiven in 4 weeks. Trains never stop here on Monday Night Raw, and trains never stop here as the Raw Women's Champion. I need to know who's next in line for me at the pay-per-view. Then out come the Grand Jury music hits, and Sonya, Julia, and Scarlett come out. And Sonya's like, congrats, Bianca. It sure is fun that you managed to, get that match with Asuka at SummerSlam. Because that should have been mine, I won that championship from Rhea Ripley back at Evolution. I should have gone into SummerSlam as the Raw Women's Champion. But, I had to face Asuka for it just 24 hours later. And then Bianca's like, girl, didn't you accept that challenge yourself? And Sonya's like, well, with Asuka now apparently out of the picture, that leaves room for a new challenger, and I would quite like to take that championship from you. And Bianca's like, so that's it. You want this? What about these two here? Pointing at Julia and Scarlett. Again, do these two not want a shot? These two just happy to sit back and be your bitches? And Scarlett's like, we will, if you're offering us championship opportunities, we'll take them. But the master plan involves Sonya as the Raw Women's Champion. That's when Julia then takes the mic and she's like, I mean, it doesn't have to. If we were all to fight to see who got the chance to be the champion, then whoever wins would get the shot. And then the other two can be the support act. Because there's no leader here. We're all about reaching the top together. Now out comes Nova. And she's like, well, I don't want to interrupt this little party here. But it doesn't seem very fun. You don't seem like you're getting on very well. That's why I'm here to jump in and say, hey, actually, I think I deserve a shot at the Raw Women's Championship after what I did at SummerSlam. I beat the GM. Not everybody in this roster can say that, After finally exposing Alexa's fraud. I believe that now is my chance to step into the championship division and get myself some gold. And then Maki comes out, and she starts singing about how she wants a title shot, and she gets into the ring and she gets in Bianca's face before she can say anything. The lights dim, and then Hikaru Shida's music hits, and she comes out. I guess the next superstar shake-up is Shida going to Raw, and she just points the kendo stick at Bianca, and they will start arguing, and Bianca's like, girls, you could just wait. I understand I'm a popular girl, but like, if you all want a shot, now there must be a better way to sort this out, right, Lexi? And she calls out Alexa. And Alexa's like, I hate to say it because, it's Nova, but she did pick up the win yesterday at SummerSlam, so she also deserves a shot at the championship. But I'm not about in the business of handouts here, especially to people that I don't like. So, if all 6 of the women in that ring won an opportunity to be the Raw Women's Champion, next week we have ourselves a gauntlet match. Sonya, Julia, Scarlett, Nova, Maki, and Shida. And whoever wins that gauntlet match will go on to face Bianca Belair for the Raw Women's Championship at Unforgiven in 4 weeks. I'll give you the week to prepare, Come see me at any time between now and next Monday to draw your numbers out for the gauntlet. First come, first serve. And, yeah. We'll see who the real most deserving woman is then. So big match set for next week already. 6-woman gauntlet match: Sonya Deville, Julia, Scarlett, Nova, Nebula, Maki, and Hikaru Shida, with the winner facing Bianca for the Raw Women's title at Unforgiven. Oh, apparently that goes straight into a match now. I forgot that set up Julia and Shida for right now. And that would actually be set up in the segment. Like, I guess they'd start shouting Japanese at each other, because other than Maki, but Maki is sort of in her own world. So, like, those are the only two that would understand each other. And then the fight breaks out, and we get a 9-minute 28 match. Julia eventually picks up the win, I guess in a kind of a shock. She beat Shida, diving crossbody, 9:28. 76 for Julia, 70 for Shida, so she's actually scoring better, so it shouldn't be that much of a shock. But, yeah, a big impressive win for, I guess, one of the underdogs of the gauntlet. But a big win. Maybe she could pick up more of those next week and earn a shot at Bianca at Unforgiven. Who knows? Make it a backstage segment. Kevin Patrick says, welcome my guests at this time, Dominic Mysterio and the entire Mysterio family. That just being, Dominic, his mom, and his sister. And then they welcome the new Cruiserweight champion, Rey Mysterio. And he walks in frame with the belt, and he goes, Rey, what does it mean to you to be the inaugural champion of this era, this iteration of the Cruiserweight division here in WWE? He says, back in 2002, I came into WWE to SmackDown as a Cruiserweight, and becoming the Cruiserweight champion really helped propel my stock in the company to where I eventually went on to become, tag team champion, world heavyweight champion, Royal Rumble winner, WWE champion, and even a tag team champion alongside my own son. So, to be the Cruiserweight champion again of this new iteration of Velocity, it feels good, Kevin. Not gonna lie. And Don's like, I may have come up short in the semi-final to Ricochet, but my dad, he managed to put Ricochet down at SummerSlam, and he's a great competitor as well, and that's an exciting future of the division we've got right there. But for now, we're looking ahead for who's next. And then into frame walks Angel Garza. He's like, oh, excuse me. And he's like, hola, look who we got here, sexy mamacita, haven't we? And Ray's like, bro, that's my fucking daughter. And then Garza sort of looks at Aaliyah, and he's like, no. And then he grabs Angie's hand, kisses her on the hand. And then Ray's like, what the fuck, bro? That's my wife? And he's like, oh, I see. Well, don't mind me. I'm just, stopping by. In case you ever want to know what a real, luchador is like. Winks at her. And Dominic's like, okay, bitch, stop fucking trying to get with my mom. And Gar's like, hey, take it easy. I'm just checking out what's going on over here, And And he backs away as, I guess, Dominic threatens to beat him up for flirting with his mum. In-ring segment. Finn Balor, Liv Morgan, and Ridge Holland come to the ring. The Balor Club. And Finn says, well, it's not been a very good 24 hours for the Balor Club. First of all, at SummerSlam last night, I lost the gang warfare. We look like the weakest gang in WWE because I took that loss and I've got to live with that. And what that means for Ridge and for Liv and for Santos. And speaking of Santos, I can't help but notice that we're a man down right now. Because apparently, Alpha Academy weren't the only group ripped apart in the Superstar Shake-Up. And it's just me, Ridge, and Liv, going at it as the Balor Club now. And Santos is going to do his thing on SmackDown, he's still going to be club in spirit. But for now, I guess it's rebuilding phase of the Balor Club. I've still got Ridge with me, Liv. And I guess what's next, who knows. But Balor Club is forever and for everyone. And then William Regal Coalition comes out. And apparently I didn't put Dudley on screen. But he's there, Dudley's there. Dudley, Pete, Gunter, Florence, and Regal. And now Regal's like, oh my, what a load of crap you're saying. Yes, it is heartbreaking that Santos Escobar would decided to go over to SmackDown as part of the shake-up rather than stay with your stupid, terrible club. I mean, Finn, you proved that you were a loser last night when my boys, Gunter, powerbombed you and proved that we are the most dominant group here on Raw. And even in saying such, you're not the... Again, we also lost members. Well, in spirit, because Dragunov and Connors, they went over to SmackDown in the shake-up as well. But unlike you, Finn Balor, I'm not a registered competitor for the Raw roster, so I'll be spreading my wings, taking my talent over to Friday Night SmackDown as well. And the Regal Coalition will now have a foothold on that show. So everywhere you look, the Regal Coalition takeover is in full effect, Finn. But the reducing in numbers will take some filling here on the Raw side of things. But, Gunter, Dudley, Pete, and Florence, as well as myself, more than capable of taking this show by the balls as it is. But there's always safety in numbers, Finn, and you should probably watch your back because you never know when the next member of the Regal Coalition may be lying. And Finn's like, is that supposed to be a threat? To get into the ring now and send whichever member of the new member of the Regal Coalition you want into this ring? And Regal's like, oh, dearie me, Sunshine, you still don't get it, do you? I already have. And Finn's like, what? And then bang! Ridge Holland twats him with the baton from behind. And Liv sort of looks confused, like, what the fuck? Florence gets into the ring and she takes Liv down. And then Ridge continues just stomping on Finn, holds him up. Dudley Device takes him down. Bitter end. And then he's held up by everybody and Gunter delivers a big chop to Finn. And another big chop and another big chop and just leaves him absolutely laying on the floor. And Ridge, hand in the air, sorts his cap out, gets his flat cap in position, hand in the air with the baton in his hand, standing behind Regal, who's clapping. Gunter's there, Dudley, Pete, Florence. This is the new Raw Regal Coalition. Another thing that I wanted to do, alongside having managers spread their wings, is having a faction that goes across both shows, because I've always thought that's a fun idea. And Regal isn't technically contracted to Raw, so he's the one who I could do with. So Dragunov and Connors are now on SmackDown, as well as any other potential members of the Regal Coalition that he'll recruit to the SmackDown portion. But they are still in the group. But the Raw group is Gunter, Pete, Dudley, Ridge, and Florence. Following? Yes, because it's not that difficult to follow along with. And I don't know why I'm treating you like you're dumb, because you're not. You've got a great taste in TEW content, therefore you're clearly intelligent. But yes, Balor Club, not thriving, unlike the Regal Coalition. Not thriving at all. It's just Finn and Liv now, I guess. Speaking of not thriving, we're a man down. The end, in case you missed the Season 1 finale of My Wrestling Academia at SummerSlam. Joe Gacy and the Helpers, they still have possession of Saray's pendant. Because Dio got pinned by Gacy in the match. And he got carried away by the Helpers after the match because he's going on tour with a band he made in this game and I need to write him off. So without one of our main cast around, I guess we're now entering the filler arc of My Wrestling Academia. Though the filler arc, in terms of wrestling terms, may not be so filler because Manny and Sensei are actually wrestling in this tag team match up next. And if they win that, they get another match later on tonight to try and become the Raw Tag Team Champions. And Sensei's like, look, Manny, I know Dio's your best friend. We're going to get him back, I promise. But, we obviously got proved to not be ready to take on Gacy and his crew yet. We need to get Saray her pendant back. You need to get your best friend back. But first and foremost, we could do with those Raw Tag Team Championships, right? And Manny's like, sure. And then they go out for the 4-way tag team match. This one gets a 76, because this is apparently where all the bad teams are. Oh, and Manny and Sensei don't click. That is cringe. Okay. But Path of the Dragon, everyone's favourite tag team. Not one of the bad teams. They pick up the win. Tozawa pins Cruz del Toro with the diving senton in 11:58. 84 for... Somehow Humberto suddenly became so much better than Tozawa. I don't understand when that happened, but whatever. Humberto gets an 84, a 73 for Tozawa, a 61 for Fish, a 74 for Roddy, a 56 for Manny, a 23 for Sensei, a 73 for Cruz, and a 69 for Joaquin. So now we know that our main event, the main event is Final 5 Deletion, but the main event match that isn't cinematic will be Path of the Dragon against the Bionic Breed, with the winner of that match going next week to face Rated RKO for the Raw Tag titles. Speaking of championships, Jimmy Smith's in a sit-down with the new Intercontinental Champion, Mustafa Ali. And Jimmy's like, Ali, you went away for months after WrestleMania, you repented on your sins, you reflected on your actions, and you come back as yourself, and you're the new Intercontinental Champion. What does that mean? And Ali's like, well, this is obviously the championship, I've already been the Universal Champion, I've been the United States Champion, but this is the title, Jimmy. This is the one that when I was watching at home, I thought, wow, that is the championship I could probably win. That's the Workman's Championship, and I'm going to put in the work to make sure that I earn that title. And here we are. Mustafa Ali, Intercontinental Champion. And do you think I worked hard to get this title? I'm going to work even harder to keep it. But here's the thing, Jimmy. I'm a traditionalist, I consider myself, quite a fashionista as well, I guess. But more importantly, I'm a wrestling fan. And that's why this Intercontinental Championship here that I won from Angel Garza, it's good. It's a good championship for me to win and hold. But it could always be better, Jimmy. And he pulls out the white Intercontinental Championship strap because that's the best belt ever and I want to bring it back. And he puts that one over his shoulder instead and he goes, see, this is a title that everyone's going to want to fight for. This is honor, this is prestige. And next week, if you want to fight for this title, anybody out there, I'll be waiting in the ring. Come and try and take it from me. So, yes, Mustafa Ali, Intercontinental Champion, brings the white belt back. This motivation for this basically came from when I went to Cardiff in real life for the Classic Castle. I bought the replica Ricey title, the white one, because it is one of my favourite belts of all time, if not my number one. That or the big gold. And just buying it and looking at it, I was like, yeah, I need to bring this design back. This is this is the best belt ever. So, I actually don't despise the current IC belt, but it's just not as good as the white one, and that's the one I'm bringing back, because it's my company. Fuck you. But yeah, more importantly, Mustafa Ali announces the open challenge next week. Come and fight him for the white IC belt. Oh, this guy 92. Charlotte Flair. She's back. Jordan, Reggie. And she's like, well, wasn't the last 7 days a riot? You know, this time last week we were opening up the show as the Raw Tag Team Champions. Not as the Raw Tag Team Champions, sorry, as the Women's Tag Team Champions. You know, shut your mouth. But we were beaten by Bayley and Cora. And everyone thought that was it. You know, the best friends, as they called themselves. The new tag team champions. Surely that's the end of the Queen's reign, right? Uh-oh. Because here we stand a week later. Once again, women's tag team champions. Now, I don't mean to brag. I mean, I do mean to brag, because that's what I do best, but I told you so. Like, Bayley and Cora, like, they're dysfunctional. They're never going to work together. And that got proven. Bayley attacked her and, like, threw her around backstage. That's not a healthy friendship. I would never do that to Jordan or Reggie or anybody else in my court. You know? That's what being a true leader is like. And quite frankly, when it comes to the women's division, there is no one better than me. There is no better leader than me. Because I am the queen. I am the Miss Money in the Bank. I am for Women's Tag Team Championship. Now, it feels like not even that long ago that we last had a cake celebration. But who loves cake? We all love cake, right? You know? You can never have too many parties, too many celebrations. Good times. So, to celebrate us being two-time Women's Tag Team Champions, celebration party. Let's go. Anyone back there, you know, feel free to come out and say your praises about how great we are. Me specifically, as your inevitable next Raw Women's Champion and your current Women's Tag Team Champion, you know. It feels pretty good to be the Queen right now.
Yes, y'all. So fresh, y'all. Snoop Dogg with Sasha Banks. We the best, y'all.
Sasha Banks comes out with Indy. And Sasha's like, nice to know that you still never shut up. Sasha's like, well, good evening to you, Sasha. How can I help you? Sasha's like, look. You, don't get me wrong, you're Charlotte Flair, you know, you're the queen. I know firsthand how good you are. Like, you beat me like 6 years ago. I could never take that championship. I went down in history. I've got so many reigns, but I never defended the fucking things because, you know, I had to face the queen. And Charlotte's like nodding her head like, yeah, you did, bitch, yeah. Sasha's like, well, fate has sort of kept us apart since that day, Charlotte. You know? And I guess now we're both back on Raw because of this shake-up. So, you came out here, you said you're the leader of this division, you're the best. You're not even the best in this ring right now, let alone the entire division. It's like, oh, guess who finally got a backbone after 6 years? Hey, Sasha. Good to see you. So, here's the thing. I don't know when you were last here on Raw, but things have changed since you were last here on Raw. Mainly, I kept evolving and being on top of my game while you sat back on SmackDown, groveling in your self-success, teaching Indy and... I haven't put Sanga on screen, but Sanga. And Sasha's like, well, if you're so confident that you are so much better than me, like you have always been 6 years ago, Charlotte, I say it's been long enough. Why don't we fight again right now? Why don't we fight me and Indy against you and Jordan for the tag team championships. And Charlotte's like, well, I'd love to defend my tag team championships tonight, but I've got other important things to do. And then in the background, we see a woman we've never seen on Raw before, like, crawl into the ring and, like, start picking at the cake in the background, like, eating slices of cake. And, like, we don't mention it, it's just in the background there for you to notice. Like, the shit with Dexter Loomis in in real life. And Charlotte continues ranting at Sasha. And she's like, well, I don't wrestle here. Don't put my championship on the line in places like the SNHU arena. Like, that's one thing that makes me better than you, is that I savor myself for big matches while you're out wrestling any old bum on the And then she clocks the other woman. And she's like, can I help you? And then the other woman comes in and she takes the mic off Charlotte. She's like, sorry, I'm just hungry. I like cake. And Charlotte's like, yeah, well, it's mine. Go away. And Sasha sort of leans over at the cake. And, like, the first slice, that it says, like, congratulations, Charlotte, on it. And the last two letters have been taken off, and the first letter has been taken off. So, and Sasha just points at it and goes, ha ha ha, look, that's you, that's for you, Charlotte, that cake is. And then Charlotte's like, wait, who are you? Who even invited you out here? And then another woman comes out. She's like, oh my god, I'm so sorry. Hi. She's like, my name's Morgan Daniels, and this is Ham's Katana, and we're just looking around here on Raw because we're NXT, and I was wondering where she went. I guess, she gets into a lot of trouble like this a lot of the time, and I'm supposed to be looking after her. She's like my friend, like my responsibility. Anyway, we didn't mean to interrupt your little thing you've got going on here, so we'll just leave it to you. And Charlotte, like, puts her hand on her shoulder. She goes to leave, and she's like, Morgan, was it? Like I just said, I'm not down to, give Sasha Banks a championship opportunity here tonight. But you two have come out here and you've quite rudely interrupted my celebration. I'm down to defend my championships against you two right now. And so I was like, well, you've got to be kidding me. Like, these they don't even actually Raw superstars. And Morgan's like, no, we really mustn't. But then Hams goes to eat the cake again. And Reggie tries to stop her. Bang! He gets the cake in the face, because of course he does. And Sasha laughs at him, and a big fight breaks out between everybody. But we do get the DKE versus Charlotte and Jordan title match. Gets an 80. Charlotte and Jordan defeat them. We give them a nice spotlight. But I'm not changing the belts directly straight over to DKE. That would be silly. Anyway, Charlotte pins Morgan with an actual selection in 11:42. Sasha is on commentary. That's what I forgot to mention. 46 for Ham, 66 for Morgan, 73 for Jordan, 86 for Charlotte. So, we will get the backstory here. Like, if you know the DKE backstory, then you know the DKE backstory. If you don't, well, we will explain it. Because, like, one of the things that I think is most issues is, like, when people came up from NXT, like, the main people I think of is American Alpha in real life. Like, they had this whole arc in NXT where they were going through, like, Gable was trying to be Jordan's partner and all that. But, like, because that had already happened, they couldn't exactly run that angle back on main roster. But then they never, like, gave us any sort of explanation about any of that. So, like, we will fill in the DKE gaps, but I didn't want to introduce them with video packages. I wanted to introduce them in a cold segment. So, yeah. Regen's 2 and 3, I guess, now part of the main roster alongside Ronnie on SmackDown. But, again, DKE's madness. Very much going to be a part of Season 6, which, is always a good time. Of course, it's on Raw. And what better way to introduce them than by having Hams eat cake? But the segment's not over, because Charlotte is, of course, embarrassed. She continues to waily on Morgan and Hams. I guess Jordan takes her out. And Sasha and Indy get off the announce desk and they get in the ring and Sasha's like, what the fuck you doing, bitch? Slap Charlotte in the face. It's like, oh, so now you want to fight, bitch? And then they get into a fight. Sasha and Indy start like taking the fight to Jordan and Charlotte. When they're attacked from behind by Aaliyah and Skylar, the Platinum Princesses. And they take out Indy like 2-on-1 poster or whatever. And then hold Sasha up and Charlotte boots her. And then they pledge their allegiance to the Queen. So I guess we have new members of the court. And Charlotte, Jordan, and the Princesses stand tall over DKE, Sasha, and Indy. Them being called princesses, I was like, yeah, that makes the most sense. You know, put them in the Queen's court. They were sort of floundering as a babyface tag team. And if I have Morgan and Hams up as a babyface tag team, as well as I still have Tegan and Kylie as well, and I'm turning J-Flo backface because, like, I feel like they would naturally turn back babyface at this point. We need the heel team. I was like, yeah, just turn these. That'll be fun. And now Charlotte's court is expanding. Speaking of expanding, Titus World Records make me expand. But they expanded at SummerSlam with the addition of Billie Kay. And they lost earlier on tonight. And Titus like, oh, this is some bullshit, you know. Terrible luck tonight. You know, but we can't let that beat us down, you know. We're Titus World Records for a reason, you know. We're going to take over the world. And we may have come up short tonight, but we need to find some way, you know, of really, you know, cementing our mark on the show. And Billy starts, like, slapping her thighs and, like, putting her hand in the air. She's like, oh, I've got it. I've got a great idea, Titus. It's like, I'm sure you have, Billy. Okay, let's hear it. And then she leans over to Titus's ear and she's like, Titus like, I love it. That's great. It's like, it is fucking great, isn't it, mate? And Truth's like, what'd she say? And Titus is like, we've got some stuff to sort. And Billy and Titus walk off, and Truth sort of just looks at Shanky, taps him on the shoulder, like, but you know what's going on there, dog? And Shanky's like, nah, fam. Throws up a hand sign or whatever, because he's Slim Shanky. He's got a backwards cap on. 87, let's go. The tag team that will be advancing to next week's show to face Rated RKO for the Tag Team Championships is indeed Path of the Dragon. They pin the Bionic Breed. Tozawa pins Dijakovic with a diving senton. 89 for Humberto, 78 for Akira Tozawa, 90 for Buddy Murphy, and a 74 for Dijakovic. So yes, next week's Raw main event is officially set. It will be Path of the Dragon, Humberto Carrillo and Akira Tozawa against Edge and Randy Orton for the Raw Tag Team titles. Should be a barn burner. Then we get a quick segment in the back, like in the medical room. Hams has gone off, I guess, to eat more shit, even though she already cleared out catering. But like, I guess. But Morgan's still on the hospital bed, as is. Well, not hospital bed, but trainer's room bed, as is Indy and Sasha. And Indy's like, you know, this wasn't how I really thought our Raw debut was going to go, you know. We're going to call out Charlotte, we're going to take her out, and we're going to leave our mark here on Raw, but apparently she's got friends in other places. And Sasha's like, look, she's always been like this. Like, I've known her for pretty much as long as longer than you've been signed to this company. Like, she's been a thorn in my side this whole time. And I guess if she's going to start fighting with fire with 4 people, we're going to have to try and counter that, Indy. And he's like, but, you know, we got rid of Mickey and Dana's gone. And Sasha's like, yeah, you're right. And she sort of looks around and goes, you, Morgan, was it? And she's like, yeah. She's like, where's your other friend? And she's like, oh, probably gone off to somewhere to find food. Like, I'll go find her in a minute. And Sasha's like, well, you sort of got embarrassed tonight, didn't you? Are you going to take that lying down? Are you going to let Charlotte bully you two on your first night here on Raw? And she's like, no, we're not going to do that. And Sasha's like, great. So what you're saying is that you two will team up with us two next week to face all 4 of Charlotte's cronies. And Morgan's like, yeah, fucking fine. That sounds good to me. And Sasha's like, great. Well, we'll get that sorted then. go talk to Alexa Sanga. He's like, yes, Sasha. And he leaves to go sort that out. So we're going to have an 8-woman tag team match, it seems, next week between the entire new Queen's Court and then Sasha and Indy and Morgan and Hams. Speaking of next week, that match is now official. 8-woman tag team match. The Queen's Court being Charlotte, Jordan, Aaliyah, and Skylar will face DKE, Sasha Banks, and Indy Hartwell. Also announced next week, as we just found out, Humberto Carrillo and Akira Tozawa of Path of the Dragon take on Edge and Randy Orton for the Raw Tag Team Championships. We have the 6-woman gauntlet match between Nova Nebula, Hikaru Shida, Julia, Sonya Deville, Scarlett, and Maki. And we have the Intercontinental Championship Open Challenge. Mustafa Ali issues an open challenge to anybody on the Raw roster who wants a shot at his title. And also, after their confrontation in the opening segment tonight, Drew McIntyre and Chad Gable will face off one-on-one on next week's show. But that's all for matches we've got announced right now, but that isn't all we're going to be seeing on next week's show. That son of a bitch Sheamus will be here next week to explain his actions from SummerSlam. And also, after his heartbreaking defeat in the main event of Night 2 at SummerSlam, the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes is here to address Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and SummerSlam and his future here in WWE. Now he can no longer become WWE Champion as long as Roman Reigns reigns with that title. Yeah, I knew this wasn't going to be that long, but it's Firefly Deletion. Obviously, I'm going to finish with this. So Firefly Deletion is, Ultimate Deletion / Firefly Funhouse match. So I imagine it starts in the Funhouse, with the Funhouse shit, and Jeff and Matt walk through the door as Jeff Hardy and Matt Hardy. They just walk down some dark, just in a pitch black room as them. And then they open the door, and it's the door to the Funhouse. And Bray and Susie are in there as Bray Wyatt, the Jumper Bray, and Susie. And they're like, welcome, friends. It's time to play. But when they walk through the door, they become Brother Nero and Broken Matt. And it's oh, yes. It's time to delete. And then the fight starts. They brawl around the Funhouse for ages. The hammer gets brought out, the big mallet. The puppets probably try and fight as well. And all sorts, and shit just kicks off. And then the Fiend will throw Jeff through the wall or whatever. The wall will collapse, but then we're at the Hardy compound. And then we get the Ultimate Deletion sort of stuff, the dilapidated boats, the ring in the middle of the forest, and all that shit, Just mixing together the Firefly Funhouse and the Ultimate Deletion. And at some point, the chaos would get too much, and there'd be a big fire or whatever, and we'd see the Firefly Funhouse catch fire, like Bray Wyatt's old lodge did, and we'd see it in his eyes, he sees flashbacks to when Randy on set the Wyatt family cabin on fire, as the Fiend sees the Funhouse up in flames, and then Susie and Bray to keep fucking wailing on the Hardys, and then the fight spills to near the Lake of Reincarnation, when the Fiend he puts the claw in on Brother Nero. He's nearly passed out. Matt tries to break it up, but Susie jumps on his Sue Young even. She's been Sue Young ever since he's been the Fiend when they left the Funhouse. Claws at Matt's head, and he's like, get off of me. And then Bray hits him with his sister Abigail, and he stacks them both up and pins them both. 1, 2, 3. And then, to finish things off, Bray picks up Brother Nero. He tosses Brother Nero into the lake. And he does the same with Matt. Susie just looks on, giggling, as the Fiend just stares at, the water. He's just tossed the Hardys in. And then Sue Young's like, it's time to go home. And they turn around, and we see, the last wall of the Firefly Funhouse just collapse in flames. Rambling Rabbit's on the floor, burning alive. Mercy the Buzzard's box is burning alive. The entire Funhouse is just on fire. And we can see the Fiend, he just stares. Obviously, he's the Fiend, he doesn't emote. But he's just there with his mask on, just staring blankly at the Funhouse. And Sue Young comes up to him, what's wrong? and he grabs her and snaps her neck, like does the neck slap thing. And then her unconscious body is just laying on the floor. And the Fiend picks her up in his arms. And then he just turns around and just slowly walks into the lake. And then as we zoom out, we get the Firefly Funhouse music playing. And the final shot is just the Fiend walking into the lake with Su Yung in his arms. And they also disappear.
Today, come along and throw your cares away. We're really glad that you're our friend, and this is a friendship that'll never ever end. If you're feeling lonely today, come along and throw your cares away. We're really glad that you're our friend, and this is a friendship that'll never ever end.
'85. That's a good show. Apparently we used Morgan and Hams too much. That's fine. I expected to get that note, but I wanted to introduce them properly, you know? Anyway, what matters more than the 85 is what you thought of Raw. And I thought this was a banging show. Also, I forgot to mention, I think every single person who was shaken up to Raw from SmackDown was on this show. So, like, there wasn't any that I missed. It's all, yeah, I think they're all on there. That's literally why Dolph Ziggler and John Morrison were in that backstage segment. It was to get them on the show. Anyway, season 6 is upon us, you know. New year, new me, but new blah. Let me try that again. Not new year, new me, but new season, new Raw. Still same old Raw. Some big developments happened here tonight. And tune in next time for the first episode of SmackDown of the new year, where that son of a bitch Seth Rollins is going to have some explaining to do. And yeah, we'll hear from Roman Reigns, I guess. I can maybe Borden or DIY or the new champions, Kairi Sane, Shotzi, all of those. See you then. For some reason I completely forgot about Heat. Oh well. Yes, but we are here for Heat on Peacock. New logo for Heat as well, you know. Banger. We start with Brandy in her office with Shotzi, you know, the new Liberty champion. Brandy just, you know, basically congratulating her, you know, as the creator of the Liberty title. It's nice, you know, see it in such good hands for its first champion. And, she hopes that Shotzi's going to be a fucking great champion, you know, prove that she deserves that belt and make that belt mean something. And Shotzi's like, yeah, I will. It's banger, you know. Nice to finally be a singles champion. I'm going to take it to SmackDown this week and we'll see what happens from there. I'll be defending it against any and all comers, you know, fighting champion and all that. Opening match gets a 47. Xia Li against Wendy Chu. Xia Li wins 7-10 of a crossface, apparently. Interesting finisher. I don't think I've ever seen Xia Li use a crossface before. But I kind of like it, you know, it's kind of cool. I'm picturing it in my head. 45 for Xia, 44 for Wendy. That's just fine. I thought I would get dinged for having two unimportant people, but I guess that doesn't happen on B shows. Oh! It's got a 70. I didn't expect this to do good at all. But we're going to give the Platinum Princess a win over Marika and Mizuki of J-Flow. Aaliyah pins Mizuki with the Magic Carpet Ride. 65 for Skylar, 70 for Aaliyah, 61 for Mizuki, and a 57 for Marika. This is just a trial run for these two because they just turned, and I want to see how they do as a team. And we're also going to give them 4 minutes of mic time here. And they do alright. Just them, you know, explaining that they are princesses, they serve the queen or whatever, and, you know, for Sasha and Indy, their time's up. They shouldn't have come to Raw because, you know, Raw is the queen's land. And as for those other two girls, nobody invited you, nobody even knows who you are, so you can go back home. Once the queen continues to dominate, your inevitable next Raw Women's Champion. 69, Florence and Candice don't click, apparently. But Candice continues her spot of whilst I find something for her to do, she goes in there and has matches on Heat and does well in them. But this time she's putting Florence over because Florence is yet to be pinned. And Florence has a 53, 74 for Candice. That's a big win for Florence. Candice is doing her job right now. I promise that she'll find something soon, but it's not her time right now, basically. 74 rated main event. Ruby tore her bicep. That's the first injury of season 6. Fuck-a-doodle-doo. I actually do have a thing for Ruby, so I hope that's not too long. But it's a bicep tear, so it's probably going to be a fair few months. But Tony beats her anyway with a strong 0. Tony gets a 79, 75 for Ruby, and obviously the injury threw the match off. Yes, I'm aware, Devon, thanks. Anyway, that's the end of Heat. Pretty basic Heat this week while I still try and get back into the groove of things. And yeah, that is actually the end of the episode now. I've already done the actual outro, but I will just say again, see you next time for SmackDown. See you then.